Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're doing something a little different.
We are.
We are taking a single, very specialized gardening note and using it as a key to unlock the mind of this hyper-prolific and deeply systematic learner.
That's right. And our source isn't some big academic paper. It's the journal of one person we only know as Ang.
And the specific post is titled Notes on Gardening, Part 756.
Part 756. I mean, that number alone tells you almost everything you need to know about the level of commitment we're looking at.
It really does. So our mission today is to really analyze Ang's process. We want to connect the dots between, this very specific horticultural detail, a miniature begonia, and the rigorous, almost industrial way Ang seems to approach everything.
Exactly. We're going from the tiny world of a terrarium plant to the much bigger world of, disciplined knowledge management. It's a fantastic model for learning.
And what's the hook? What first grabbed Ang and us?
It's so relatable. He's looking at this display and he sees these perfect, vibrant flowers. And his first thought is, they have to be plastic or artificial.
I love that. Because we've all been there. You see something so flawless, your brain just can't compute that it's real.
That kicked off part 756.
Okay, what is this plant?
It's called Begonia Buttercup.
Buttercup. Simple enough.
Well, the full formal name, which Ang of course logged, is Begonia prismaticarpa buttercup.
Of course he did.
And it's a genuine miniature. Visually, it's just stunning. These tiny, bright yellow flowers against dark green leaves.
Yeah.
In a terrarium, they look hyper-real, almost fake.
Which brings me right back to his initial reaction. But Ang doesn't just, write, saw a cool yellow flower.
No, not at all. The notes immediately go deep. He demands this structured knowledge from the very start.
So what kind of details are we talking about?
The full technical specs. He finds out the hybrid was created by a guy named Mike Cartouze, who's a known name in the begonia world. And he documents the exact parentage. It's a cross between Begonia microsperma and Begonia prismatocarpa.
We have to pause on that. That right there is the first huge clue.
It is.
I mean, to know the lineage, the hybridizer, the full formal species names for a tiny flower tucked away in a terrarium, that's the difference between just having a casual interest and, true structured learning.
It speaks to the rigor he requires for his own documentation. If you're going to log it, you log the facts, the origins, the context.
Right, because knowing the parentage isn't just trivia. It probably informs how you care for it, what its needs are. It's practical.
It is. It allows for a genuine application of that knowledge later on.
Okay, so this is where the story pivots a bit, right? This is where we see the cross-disciplinary mind start to work.
Yeah, the encounter with the buttercup wasn't just a, that's neat moment. Ang writes that it actually shifted his perspective on the entire hobby of terrariums.
So before this, he just wasn't interested.
Hadn't given it any serious thought. But this one perfect flower changed that.
And then the project management brain kicks in.
Immediately. He doesn't just admire it. He moves straight to a resource assessment. He realizes he's already got the gear for this potential new hobby.
What kind of gear?
He specifically mentions unused aquarium equipment, which includes tanks, lighting, and substrate.
Oh, that's fascinating. So he's got the infrastructure just sitting there from a past project.
Or an ongoing one fishkeeping in this case. It can be immediately repurposed for a totally different kind of hobby.
It's like having a library of interchangeable parts for your hobbies, physical and technical parts.
That's a great way to put it. It raises a really important question for any of us who feel like we don't have time for new things. Ang keeps his tools, physical and intellectual, ready for the next iteration. His old notes on fish-keeping hobby provides the tanks for a new plant project.
That efficiency is so impressive. But, let's be real for a second. For most people, when a shiny new idea like that hits, especially when you realize you already have the tanks sitting in the garage, that project is starting tonight.
Oh, absolutely. That is classic shiny new object syndrome.
And this is exactly why the very next line in Ang's note is maybe the most important part of this whole deep dive.
Yes. Despite the allure, despite having the tanks and lights ready to go, he puts on the brakes. Hard. He enforces a disciplined priority constraint.
And what's the priority?
He writes that his focus must stay on successfully propagating the begonia mix I purchased last month.
An existing project.
An existing project that's currently in a delicate phase, acclimating in his front yard garden. The current commitment takes absolute precedence over the thrilling new idea.
That just crystallizes the whole thing, doesn't it?
It really does. It's not about jumping on every new interest. It's about managing your own curiosity, cataloging the new idea for later, but having the discipline to finish what you started.
He recognized the new interest, he cataloged the resources he had for it, but he explicitly put it on the back burner. That is such a rare skill.
It's the bedrock of his consistency, that ability to say, not now. But, it makes you wonder where that kind of discipline comes from.
And the source gives us the answer.
It does. We find it in how Eng describes himself. On his website, kianm.org, he calls himself an old software plumber.
An old software plumber. Okay, for anyone not in the tech world, that term it's really key.
Explain it.
Well, a software architect might design the beautiful mansion, right? But the software plumber does the hard, critical work of making sure all the pipes connect. Integration, maintenance, systematic upkeep. They make sure the foundation is stable and everything just works.
Exactly. His main focus is on tinkering with free Libre and open source software, or FLOSS. He's deep in the world of transparent, community-driven tech infrastructure.
And that methodical, systematic approach that you have to have for stable code, he's just transplanted it to every single area of his life.
The scale of the documentation is the proof. We mentioned notes on gardening, part 756, but the overall output is just staggering.
What are the numbers?
In a single recent year, Eng posted over 700 times. This isn't just, sporadic blogging. It is a rigorous, almost daily commitment to documenting what he's learning.
And it goes back years.
Consistently, to 2012 and even earlier. He's just curious. He's running a massive, active, personal library of expertise.
But I have to ask, 756 parts on gardening, over 700 posts a year. At what point does the documentation itself become the main task instead of the learning? Doesn't that risk, analysis paralysis?
That's a great question. And I think the structure is what prevents that paralysis.
Yeah.
The key isn't the volume, it's the compartmentalization.
He's treating them like separate modules.
Precisely. This isn't one giant, messy journal. If you look at the table of contents on his site, you see these dedicated separate threads.
On the tech side, you have things like Elixir-Link programming, Python, AI, Haskell, Go, Rust. I mean, these are all heavy-duty topics.
Right. But then he applies the exact same methodological rigor to his hobbies. There are separate journals for notes on fishkeeping,
notes on photography, part 222.
Notes on meditation, part 5, notes on dieting, home improvement, notes on guitar.
It's like he's applying the discipline of software development, version control, systematic documentation, clear project goals to the messy organic world of just life.
That's it. Instead of mixing up his command line terminal and his gardening trowel, he's basically running the command open notes on gardening when he steps outside.
And that system is the genius of it. It's a model for how you can learn about a million different things without getting cognitive fatigue.
Yes, he creates these logical silos, separate folders for every single interest. He's not mixing up his notes on debugging a Haskell program with his logs about begonia propagation.
And that segmentation means that when he returns to a topic, he has a clean, organized record of where he left off. It prevents that feeling of being completely overwhelmed.
It really does.
So let's bring this all back together. We started with this tiny yellow flower that Eng thought was plastic.
And we ended up with this incredibly robust, systematic approach to knowledge. The core takeaway, I think, for anyone listening is that mastery, whether it's gardening or coding, requires this meticulous, documented effort over a very long time.
The consistency is the engine. Those 700-plus posts a year.
That's the engine.
And that lesson from his internal conflict, that tension between the shiny new terrarium idea and the current begonia project, that's just paramount.
It is. It shows that ability to recognize an impulse, catalog it, and then delay it to maintain focus. That discipline is what allows someone to build deep mastery in dozens of different fields.
It's a system for sustainable curiosity.
I like that. You get to be interested in everything, but you don't have to do everything right now. You just log the possibility, like the unused aquarium tanks, and you prioritize the task at hand.
It's proof that you can be both a specialist, like an expert software plumber, and a generalist, an expert in fish keeping and guitar and photography, as long as you treat learning itself as a structured process.
A process borrowed from your most rigorous discipline. The documentation is the scaffolding. It supports the learning and lets you look back and see the progress you've made.
Absolutely. So we'll leave you with this final thought, a thought that comes straight from the discipline of the old software plumber, who also writes Notes on Gardening, part 756.
Here it is.
What fundamental skill or structured discipline, borrowed from a totally different part of your life? Maybe it's project management from your job, maybe it's fitness tracking, maybe it's how you budget your money. What could you apply to your most challenging learning goal right now to achieve that same level of methodical documentation and eventually mastery?
Think about what it would take to create your own Part 757.
Until the next deep dive, keep learning and keep logging those notes.